chosen one. Listen, this is not random. Heaven has not just watched you, heaven has scheduled you. You are not drifting through time like the rest of the world. You are not caught in chaos. You are not walking without witness or wonder. You are being led by divine appointment. There are sacred dates written in God's eternal calendar, days that were not formed by man. Days that will shift your story, days where things finally click, things finally break, things finally open. The reason you feel the ache, the pressure, the stretch, is because you are living close to one of those sacred dates. It is pressing against your atmosphere. You feel it in your bones before your eyes can even see it, because your spirit knows what your mind is still catching up to. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not cursed. You are being aligned with precision. This message is not for the masses. It is for the marked. It is for those God has set apart, for those who have been called to walk a narrower way, those who have felt invisible, but not unimportant, hidden, but not abandoned, quiet, but not irrelevant. You are the chosen one. There are moments when the world is too loud for you, when conversations feel too shallow, when crowds feel too unfamiliar. That's because your soul does not move by popularity, it moves by prophecy. Your heartbeat doesn't follow social trends, it follows divine timing. Heaven does not operate on man's rush. God is not moved by deadlines, calendars, clocks, or quotas. He is moved by timing. And for the chosen ones, timing is sacred. There are days marked with fire for you. And when that day comes, no power of hell, no word of man, no system of delay can stop it. The same God who created the heavens and the earth also formed a season just for you. A window where the war breaks. A morning where the fog lifts. A midnight where the answer comes. A moment where the divine says, now. Do not let the enemy deceive you into thinking you've missed it. You can't miss what God has sealed. Do you hear that? It's not just your imagination. That restlessness you feel is heaven whispering. Get ready. No, because it's about to happen. You didn't stumble on this message. You were drawn to it. It's not a coincidence that you're hearing this today. It is divine orchestration. Heaven paused your scroll, your distractions, your doubt to deliver one single truth. There is a sacred day appointed to your name, and it will come, and you will know when it comes. Your spirit will leap. Your surroundings will shift. Everything will confirm what your soul has already believed for years. This is the day I was prepared for. Some have already laughed at your hope. Others have mocked your waiting. But when that marked moment arrives, your obedience will make sense. Your pain will find purpose, and your story will shout glory. You are not like the rest. You were never meant to blend in. You've been marked by heaven, and for you, the calendar of God carries a different rhythm. The calendar of man may say you're late. Culture may say you've missed it. But God says, you are right on time, my time. You have not wasted your life. You have not lost your chance. If God scheduled it, it cannot be stolen. There are things heaven has written that man doesn't know how to read. There are timings God has ordained that no human voice can cancel. This is why your spirit always felt unsettled in the crowd, because you weren't born to follow noise. You were born to recognize the signal of the Spirit. Chosen one. Everything that has been confusing, everything that seemed uncertain, It is all leading you to the divine intersection God designed. And when that day comes, all of heaven will bear witness. Let this be a divine reminder. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. You won't crawl into your destiny, you will soar into it. So if your heart is stirred, if your eyes are welling up, if something deep inside is screaming, yes, then you know this is for you. Like, share, and subscribe if this word met you right where you are, because this space is built for chosen ones like you. Comment 333 below if your spirit says, "This is my appointed time." There's a reason the doors didn't open when you knocked. A reason the yes you prayed for turned into silence. And a reason the season you thought would be your breakthrough became your breaking. Chosen one, you were never being rejected. You were being refined. God delays what the enemy can't destroy. But what would crush you if given too soon? Some doors didn't open because they weren't locked. They were being held back by divine hands that saw what you couldn't see. Held for the version of you that was still being formed in the shadows. You called it unanswered. God called it alignment. There's a kind of delay only the anointed understand. It's not laziness. It's not fear. It's the sacred slow that heaven requires when something holy is about to be birthed. And you're carrying something holy. God didn't say no. He said, not like this. Not right now. Not until you've grown into the weight of what I've planned for you. Only because there's weight in glory. And if you walk into your calling without enough character, that weight will crush you. So what did God do? He built you slowly, secretly, systematically. He took his time because you're not a moment, you're a movement. You were never created for microwave miracles. Your destiny is not something that comes quick. It's deep, it's wide, it's long-lasting. So the building had to be silent. The growth had to be in the dark. Because when your day comes, it won't be temporary. It will be transformational. Let the world think you've been idle. Let others assume you missed it. Let the impatient sprint ahead for things that will slip through their fingers. But you are planted, not potted, anchored, not drifting, rooted, not rushed. Even now, you feel it. The frustration, the tension, the tears behind your tired eyes, the ache of not knowing when, but still believing it will happen. That tension is not weakness. That's the weight of waiting, and only those marked by heaven can carry it. There is a particular kind of strength that is forged in delay. The strength to believe without evidence, to move without visibility, to obey without applause. And that's exactly what God has been building in you. You are learning to trust the invisible hand of God more than the visible hands of men. And it matters. Because the next thing God is about to do in your life cannot be sustained by shallow faith. You've outgrown quick prayers and casual faith. You're stepping into a season that requires stability, not speed. Delay was not God ignoring you. It was God insulating you, preparing you in a way that makes the enemy nervous. Because the longer God takes, the more dangerous you become to darkness. Every minute you didn't quit added depth. Every time you stayed faithful in the unseen added fire. And every day you didn't get what you wanted was another day God gave you what you needed, endurance. Heaven was not punishing you. Heaven was maturing you. So when others try to minimize your story, They won't understand, because they didn't cry your tears. They didn't wait your years. They didn't stand when quitting was the easy route. Only you know what it cost. And because of that, only you can carry the glory that's coming. Chosen one, hear this clearly. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are waiting because something already happened in the spirit, and it is just waiting for the right moment to manifest in the natural. Heaven is not slow. Heaven is surgical. And when God makes a move, it's exact. Not early. Perfect. Not partial. We find in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 13, I can do all things through Christ, who gives me strength. You can endure this delay because the delay has already produced a version of you that doesn't give up. You've walked too far to turn back now. You've trusted too long to start doubting. You've carried too much oil to waste it on bitterness. So what's next? What's next is inevitable. It's already marked, already written, already spoken. What you're waiting for isn't being created, it's being revealed. That's why the delay hurts so much. Because your spirit knows what's coming, even while your eyes don't see it. The waiting wasn't just for timing, it was to bring your soul, your mind, and your body into full agreement with what God has already spoken over you in heaven. So walk forward with fire. You have not missed it. You have been prepared for it. Delay didn't deny you. It defined you. Chosen one. Let this truth settle deep in your spirit. You were hidden, not forgotten. There is a sacred difference. Being forgotten is what man does. Being hidden is what God chooses. Heaven does not lose track of what it creates. God never misplaces the ones he marks. And if you've been living through a season where you felt invisible, ignored, overlooked, don't let the enemy call that rejection. It was refinement. You weren't buried. You were planted. Heaven has been growing you underground, beneath the noise, beneath the stage, beneath the surface. Because what's growing inside of you cannot survive artificial light. It had to develop in the dark. The silence, strategic. The waiting, weaponized. The hiding, holy. Some were launched quickly and faded just as fast. But not you. You are being established with roots, not just results. And roots always grow first, before anything is seen. Think of Moses, 40 years in a desert before delivering a nation. David, years tending sheep after being anointed king. Even Jesus, hidden for 30 years before walking publicly in his assignment. God hides what he is serious about. You kept wondering, why is no one seeing me? But heaven was saying, because I'm not done shaping you. You wanted to be seen. God wanted you to be strong. There are layers of you that would have cracked under the pressure if he revealed you too soon. You would have listened to opinions louder than obedience. You would have chased praise instead of purpose. So God kept you close, out of sight, beneath his wing. Not because you were forgotten, but because you were precious. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 2, he cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. Elaph. Pruning doesn't feel like favor. It feels like loss, like delay, like silence, but it's actually preparation. God cuts back, not to harm, but to multiply. And the cutting you felt in hiddenness was heaven making room for greater fruit. Chosen one. The season of silence trained your spirit to hear differently. The absence of applause taught you to stop living off validation. The empty rooms forced you to build without performance. That's what makes you dangerous to darkness. You were not shaped by the spotlight. You were shaped in the secret place. And now, you're not just gifted, you're grounded. You're not just ready, you're rooted. And when God reveals you, you won't need to prove anything. You'll simply become what He already declared. That's why the hiding took time. He wasn't just getting the world ready for you, He was getting you ready for the world. So don't envy those who seem to rise faster. Don't compare your process to theirs. Some of them were called to be quick, but you were called to be deep. You were hidden because what's inside of you can't be microwaved. It's marinated. It's refined. It carries weight. And weight takes time. And that time was not wasted. You learned how to fight quietly. You learned how to endure without applause. You learned how to worship in the wilderness, when there was no audience, no feedback, no proof, only God. That kind of hidden obedience terrifies hell, because now you're dangerous. Not just because you have power, but because you've been processed, you've been crushed, and you still praise. You've been overlooked, and you still obey. You've been hidden, and you're still here. When your revealing comes, it won't be small. It won't be subtle. It won't be manufactured. It will be heaven ordained. And it will be undeniable, not because of who you are, but because of what He's done in you. So if this word is tugging on your spirit, if the hiding finally makes sense, if the silence feels sacred now, if the season of being unseen suddenly feels like protection, then don't scroll past this moment. Comment, still becoming. Say it as a testimony not of weakness, but of wisdom, because you know now you're not behind, not broken, not forgotten. You are still becoming the vessel God saw before you were born, becoming the voice, the answer, the remnant, the revival. Heaven is still shaping you, and you will not rush what is holy. Let the comment be your agreement with heaven. I may not be revealed yet, but I am becoming everything He said I would be. Heaven keeps time differently. Chosen one. What feels delayed to man is perfectly timed in the realm of God. You've stared at clocks and calendars, counted the months, added the years, and wondered why it hasn't happened yet. But understand this, you are not bound to human timelines. You are not submitted to cultural pressure. You are not late. You are aligned. The clock of heaven does not tick like the clock of earth. You see others reaching milestones. You hear testimonies that sound like the very thing you're still praying for. And if you're not careful, comparison will lie to you. It will whisper that you've missed something, that you're falling behind, that maybe God forgot your address. But the truth is more powerful. He scheduled you differently because He called you differently. Your life is not a copy. Your journey is not a template. God is not building you according to trends. He is building you according to prophecy. Heaven is not interested in premature greatness. Heaven is invested in eternal impact. And for that, the process must be slower, stronger, rooted in depth, not just height. Chosen one. You are not overlooked. You are on divine delay. Not denial. Not disqualification. Delay. And that delay is producing something far more potent than a quick breakthrough ever could. That is why the timeline doesn't match the world's expectations, because you were never meant to follow it. Abraham was promised a son and waited 25 years. Joseph dreamed as a teenager, but didn't step into the palace until 13 years of betrayal, silence, and injustice passed. Jesus waited 30 years for a ministry that lasted only 3. Heaven's timing may seem slow, but it is flawless. There is a reason things didn't happen when you wanted them to. God wasn't just preparing the promise, He was preparing you. You prayed for acceleration, but God gave you alignment. You asked for speed, but heaven gave you substance. Why? Because what you carry cannot be rushed. What's in you is prophetic. It's generational. It's disruptive. It's not meant to impress. It's meant to transform. And transformation takes time. God does not rush what He wants to last. So, while others are running their race, hitting their marks, building their names, you're still in the secret place, wondering why you're not moving as fast. And this is your answer. You're not on their clock. You're on God's. And God's clock doesn't count seconds. It cultivates seasons. There are things God had to break off of you before He could bring you into certain rooms. There are weights you had to drop, mentalities you had to unlearn, identity wounds that had to be healed. All of this invisible work, time-consuming, painful, private, was necessary, because the platform you're being prepared for demands a version of you that is whole. The slow process has protected your purity. It's kept your heart from pride. It's taught your hands to labor. It's trained your ears to hear Him in the quiet. You've been learning to trust rhythm over rush, obedience over outcome, worship over recognition. Chosen one. The longer it's taken, the clearer your spirit has become. You no longer measure success by what's visible. You now measure it by what's eternal. What's being built in you is not seasonal. It's sustainable. And that's why the delay feels heavy. Because it's not a delay, it's a deepening. The longer the root system, the taller the tree can stand. The deeper the well, the purer the water that rises. The longer the preparation, the greater the anointing can flow without limit. So if your life has moved slowly, understand, it's been moving correctly. God is not slow to fulfill His promises. He is careful. He does not waste days. He counts them. He does not forget seasons. He orchestrates them. He is not reacting to circumstances. He is weaving eternity into every moment of your timeline. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Peter, chapter 3, verse 9. The Lord is not slow in keeping His promise, as some understand slowness. Instead, He is patient with you. You are not being punished by delay. You are being prepared by design. And when your day comes, and it will make sense of every silent year. You'll see why it couldn't happen before. You'll thank God for the closed doors, for the seasons you thought were wasted, because nothing was lost. It was all laying a foundation. The difference between a moment and a movement is timing, and God is not raising you for a moment. He's building you for a divine movement through your life, your voice, your story. So rest, wait, worship while you wait. You are not behind. You are simply on God's calendar, and His timing never fails. You're not behind, you're aligned. Chosen one. You must release the lie that you are late. You must silence the whisper that says you missed it, messed it up, or moved too slowly. Heaven does not run on man's calendar. And when God marks your path, you are always on time, Even when the world tries to rush you, let this sink deep. You are exactly where you need to be for where God is leading you. Everything you've walked through has been a setup, not a setback. Every no was a nudge. Every delay was direction. And every closed door was a shield. The reason it hasn't looked like theirs is because your path isn't like theirs. You are not called to copy. You are called to carry something original. Something heaven wrote before time began. That's why things have felt different for you. That's why you've always known, even without proof, that your journey would never fit inside the world's timeline. The crowd runs towards speed. The chosen run towards substance. They chase moments. You've been trained for movements. They want recognition. You've been prepared for revelation. The difference is subtle at first, but heaven knows the difference. And so does the darkness. The reason hell has fought your pace so hard is because you were never just born to make noise. You were born to make impact. Not quick attention. Lasting glory. Not fleeting applause. Eternal fruit. You've taken the longer road, but that road has carved endurance into your bones. It has built steel in your spine. It has taught you to hear the whisper of God louder than the scream of culture. And that is why, when your moment comes, you will not fumble it. You will not fold. You will not sell out or back down. Because you didn't rush your process, you let heaven refine you. You were never behind. You were protected by pace. Scripture reminds us in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay." Chosen one, your appointed time is still coming. And when it arrives, it will carry the full weight of heaven behind it. No one will be able to stop it. Nothing will be able to delay it. And not even your past will be able to disqualify you from it. That's the power of divine alignment. But don't just hear this word, receive it. Let it uproot every lie you've believed about being late. Let it break every mental chain that says you've missed your moment. You haven't. Your moment is still under construction, and you are the foundation it's being built on. Let this encourage you. But more than that, let this activate you. If this word spoke to you, if it confirmed the very thing your spirit's been wrestling with, don't let it pass you by like another post. This isn't content. This is confirmation. This isn't hype. It's holy. So take a step. Help keep messages like this flowing to chosen ones around the world. You can help sustain the voice of this assignment. Like, share, subscribe, and if this ministry is feeding you, consider sowing into it. No pressure, just obedience to the pull you feel in your spirit. Because every act of support keeps the fire burning. It's not about donation. It's about participation. We don't build platforms, we build altars. And right now, your obedience is part of that altar. You don't have to give big, just give from the same space you receive, your heart. That is what multiplies oil. That is what heaven breathes on. You are not just a listener, you are part of this movement. And together, we are declaring this one truth. Chosen ones are not behind. They are right on time. Your journey doesn't have to make sense to them. It only needs to be in sync with God. So, keep walking. Keep worshipping. Keep waiting without growing weary. The God who authored your beginning has not forgotten your becoming, and He never schedules a rise without first digging the foundation. You are not a late bloomer. You are a timed release. And when you're released, It won't be quiet. It won't be small. It won't be borrowed. It will be the full unveiling of everything God whispered to you in the secret place. And if that secret place is where you still find yourself today, thank God for it. Because that's where power is born. You are aligned, not abandoned, chosen, not delayed, hidden, not behind. Your timing is sacred. Certain days are sealed for glory. Chosen one. There are days written in the archives of heaven, days that carry oil, fire, and divine unveiling. These are not ordinary days. These are the days that shift everything. Days that carry the fingerprints of God. Days that were marked for you before you were even born. You were not created to wander through time blindly. There is a rhythm to your steps, a precision in your path, and a prophecy unfolding inside your process. And somewhere in that divine timeline, there are appointed days that carry a supernatural charge. They are sealed, set apart, guarded by angels, and they cannot be stopped. These are the days when the invisible becomes visible, when prayers that once felt cold erupt into manifestation, when what you carried in silence breaks through the veil of time. The womb of delay opens, the dam of resistance collapses, and suddenly, the world sees what heaven always knew. You were marked for this. But here's the truth. Many can't accept before those days arrive. You walk through days that feel completely opposite. You face days of silence, days of stretching, days where nothing makes sense and everything feels heavy. You wonder if you're being punished. You question if you missed something. You ask if the promise expired. But in reality, those heavy days are the very evidence that a sacred day is approaching. The pressure intensifies before delivery. The enemy attacks hardest before release. Confusion grows loudest before clarity emerges. You've been feeling it. The tension in the spirit, the weariness that has no name, the deep pull that wakes you at midnight. That's not anxiety, that's the echo of your appointed time approaching. Something in the spirit is stirring, something that cannot be explained, but cannot be denied. You're nearing the day God sealed with your name on it. It will not be like the others. This day will split your timeline, before and after, silence and sound, seed and fruit, labor and harvest. The wait will make sense in a single moment, and it will happen not because of who you are, but because of what God said. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 46, verse 10, I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. My purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please. No, chosen one. God doesn't speak to impress. He speaks to fulfill. And when he marks a day for glory, hell cannot cancel it. No delay can erase it. No voice can overrule it. It is sealed, and it is secured. You won't have to force it when it arrives. You won't have to manipulate, strive, or beg for it. The door will open without you touching the handle. The river will part without you shouting. The moment will reveal itself because God already ordained it. And on that day, you will feel the shift in the atmosphere. Your surroundings will confirm it. Your body will respond to it. Your spirit will rise to meet it. It may come on a day that looks completely ordinary. A Thursday morning, a quiet night, a routine afternoon. But suddenly, something will activate. Because God doesn't need ceremony to move, he just needs timing. That's why you must stay ready. The glory day doesn't warn you in advance. It doesn't come with announcements. It comes with alignment. So if you've been feeling the pull to pray more deeply, if worship has become more intense, if you've been waking up and sensing that heaven is closer than usual, it's not your imagination. It's a signal. The day is drawing near. The sealed moment is approaching. You've been walking through the fire, and heaven has been recording every step. Not one tear missed. Not one surrender unseen. Every hidden yes was laying bricks for this day. And now, the hourglass is almost empty. When it comes, it will happen quickly. What took years to pray will unfold in moments. What was stuck will suddenly shift. What you couldn't reach will come find you. And when it happens, remember this truth. It was never luck. It was never coincidence. It was prophecy kept under lock and key, now loosed by divine timing. So take heart. Chosen one, you're not drifting. You are nearing the coordinates of heaven's design. And the day that's coming carries more glory than you could imagine. Now, if your spirit bears witness, if something deep inside you says, "This is my season," if your eyes feel tears, and you don't know why, then mark it. Comment 444. Type it not for attention, but as alignment. 4 is the number of divine order. North, south, east, west, earth, wind, fire, water. It's the structure that holds the glory. By typing 444, you're declaring, "God, I submit to your timing, not mine. I believe the day you sealed for me is on its way." And there's a reason you've been feeling it. That stirring inside you, that shift in the unseen, that quiet tension that won't leave your spirit alone. It's not anxiety. It's not restlessness. It's not your imagination running wild. It's prophetic alignment drawing near. You don't need to see the whole picture to know that something is happening. Your spirit knows it before your eyes catch up. That's how God speaks to his chosen spirit to spirit. Not always through visible signs, but through divine sensitivity. You've felt the turning. You've sensed the pull. You've even wondered if you were imagining it until it kept returning. Stronger each time. That's not confusion. That's confirmation. God is calling your attention, not with noise, but with a spiritual nudge, a holy ache, a whisper in the wilderness. He's training you to sense, not just see, to discern, not just decide, because when your sacred day comes, you won't have time to question it. You'll have to recognize it in real time. So don't dismiss what you've been feeling lately. The pressure, the stretching, the sudden discomfort in places that used to feel familiar. These are not symptoms of being lost. They are signs of transition. You are not being pulled apart. You are being drawn forward. The reason the old spaces feel tight is because you're outgrowing them. What once fed you is no longer enough. What once fit you now feels small. That's not regression. That's the sound of heaven making room for expansion. You are walking toward fulfillment, and your spirit knows it. That's why the distractions have intensified. That's why the enemy has been attacking your focus. Because what's coming next will require your full attention. And the enemy can't stop the day God sealed, so he'll try to disrupt your posture. But you must stay grounded. You must stay watchful. Because heaven is aligning things you haven't seen yet. The right connections, the perfect timing, the divine opportunities, the doors that don't require striving, and it's all moving toward you. Even when it feels like nothing is changing, the stirring inside of you is not a warning. It's a signal. It means you are closer than you think. The prophet Elijah once stood in the wilderness with no cloud in sight, but his spirit knew rain was coming. He told his servant, "Go look again, 7 times, and on the 7th." The servant said, "I see a cloud the size of a man's hand." Oh, it was enough. Elijah didn't need a thunderstorm. He just needed a sign. You too have seen just enough to keep believing, just enough to keep praying, just enough to stay the course. And God is honoring that faith. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 41. And Elijah said to Ahab, "Go, eat and drink, for there is the sound of a heavy rain." Alles Groot, chosen one. You've been hearing a sound. No one else hears the sound of coming rain. Others don't hear it. They think you're just hopeful, just emotional. But you've seen too much in the spirit to stop now. You're not moved by opinions. You're moved by the quiet, knowing that something is about to break. That's why you haven't quit. That's why you still believe, even when you're tired. Because something in you knows that this weight isn't empty, it's pregnant with power. And just like a woman nearing labor, your spirit is contracting. It feels tight. It feels uncomfortable. But it's not danger. It's delivery. You are closer than you've ever been. And your spirit knows it. Don't silence that stirring. Don't bury it with distraction. Don't rush past it. Let it lead you to the secret place. Let it press you deeper into God. Let it cleanse your ears to hear Him with clarity. Because in the days ahead, you'll need to move quickly. You won't have time for indecision. And the only way to recognize divine timing is to walk in divine sensitivity. The shift is not coming. The shift is already here. It's not waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to be present, fully alert, fully submitted, fully trusting. God doesn't need you to understand it all. He needs you to be in position when the moment opens. Because when heaven stirs you, it's always for a reason. So, if you've been sensing more, dreaming deeper, feeling the atmosphere change, if your spirit has been restless, don't run from it. Lean in. Be still. Listen. The movement has already started. Not outside of you, but within. And soon, what's happening in the invisible will burst into the visible. Until then, trust the stirring. It's the sound of rain. Before glory comes silence. Chosen one. One of the hardest things you will ever walk through is not the attack of the enemy, it's the silence of heaven. The unexplainable pause. The sacred stillness. The days, weeks, or even years where God seems to say nothing while you carry everything. You've cried out with no answer, knocked on doors that never opened. Saturday, with open hands and an open heart, only to feel nothing, no vision, no voice, just quiet. And it almost convinced you that maybe you were wrong. Maybe you were forgotten, or maybe you missed the mark. But hear this clearly. Heaven's silence is not heaven's absence. God has not withdrawn. He has drawn you closer, not with words, but with weight, not with volume, but with depth. Because there are some seasons where heaven does not speak louder, it simply allows your roots to go deeper. The silence is not a void. It's a vessel. It's where prophets are formed. Not just heard, It's where your identity is forged in faith, not feelings. Because God knows that if you can stay faithful when He's quiet, then you are ready to carry what He wants to say through you. You don't build true obedience when the voice is loud. You build it when the instructions stop and you're still walking in the last thing He said. That's the test of trust. That's where the called are separated from the casual. You asked for fire, and heaven gave you silence, because fire without foundation burns. But silence builds something sacred, a devotion that isn't driven by dopamine, but by conviction. That's what you've been walking through. This silence is not punishment. It is God drawing a boundary around your becoming. There are places He wants to take you that require clarity, and clarity requires emptiness, not noise. And that's what silence does. It empties you of ego, of the crowd, of performance, of the need to constantly be reassured. It strips away everything unnecessary so that when the glory comes, it doesn't break you. Because glory does not visit the shallow. It rests on the ones who endured the quiet furnace, who didn't run when the applause stopped, who didn't abandon the altar when the wind died down. It's those who remained rooted, steady, listening. And perhaps that's why you're still standing. You don't even know how you've held on. But somehow, even without answers, you've refused to let go. Even when your hands trembled, you stayed. Even when your faith felt thin, you stayed. That's not weakness, that's a warrior's spirit. The silence didn't destroy you. It refined you. It taught you to pray past emotion, to believe beyond feeling, to worship when nothing made sense. It stripped the props away until only one thing was left: your yes. And God treasures that kind of yes. It was recorded in the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 26. It is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. You've been waiting, not with noise, not with drama, but with quiet defiance, holding your ground, believing against the evidence, staying loyal to a God who felt distant but never left. And that is what qualifies you for what comes next. Because after silence comes fire. After the pause comes power. And after the void comes the voice again, clearer than ever, stronger than ever, and confirming everything you suspected all along. The silence has been the setup. Heaven has been testing the frequency of your spirit, not just to see if you would hear, but to see if you would keep trusting when you didn't. And now you've been trained in a language most don't speak. You can discern what others dismiss. You can pick up spiritual movement others call coincidence. You know what heaven feels like, even when it doesn't sound like anything, because silence sharpened your discernment. That is why you're dangerous now. You're not moved by noise anymore. You've heard too much in the quiet. You've seen too much in the dark. You've walked too long in silence to be seduced by shallow signals. You don't just know the word, you've become it. And when the next move comes, when the clouds open, and the fire falls, and the calling manifests, you'll carry it with honor, because you've earned it in the hours nobody saw. In the nights you wept quietly. In the days you stood alone. So don't despise this silence. Sit in it. Let it settle you. Let it stretch you. Let it show you what noise could never teach. Because silence always comes before the sound of glory. They laughed when you waited. Chosen one. There are people who saw your stillness and assumed it was failure. They watched your quiet obedience and mistook it for weakness. They didn't understand that waiting is warfare, and stillness is often the most violent kind of trust. They said you were too cautious, too hesitant, too idealistic. But they didn't see the altar you built in secret. They didn't hear the prayers that never made it to your lips. They didn't feel the pressure of the promise hanging over your life like a fire too holy to carry prematurely. So they mocked you. They told you to move faster, to settle for less, to lower your expectations and fit into systems that weren't made for your mantle. And for a moment, you almost believed them. You almost traded promise for performance, almost gave up slow obedience for quick applause. But something deeper held you: conviction, covenant, the voice of God, silent at times, but steady. And so you waited, not because it was easy, not because it made sense, but because something in you refused to abandon the process. They laughed at that, because waiting doesn't look powerful from the outside. It looks passive. It looks like weakness to a world trained to move fast and talk louder. But the strongest people in Scripture didn't rise because they fought for visibility. They waited for heaven's unveiling. You belong to that lineage. Sarah laughed when God said her womb would bring life in old age. The world laughed at Noah, building a boat in sunshine. The crowd laughed when Jesus said the girl was only sleeping. But every time God had the final word, and He will in your life too. Your waiting has not been wasted. It's been prophetic. They called you delusional, but heaven called you devoted. They said you were wasting time, but God said you were right on time. And now the season is shifting. The same ones who mocked you will have no words when the doors open, when the fire falls, when what you prayed for becomes visible. They won't be able to explain it, because they didn't believe it. But that's okay. This next season isn't for proving them wrong. It's for proving God right. You don't need revenge. You need revealing. And that revealing is coming. It is written in the second book of Chronicles, chapter 20, verse 17. You will not have to fight this battle. Take up your positions, stand firm, and see the deliverance the Lord will give you. Your posture in the quiet was your greatest weapon. You waited with honor. You waited when it hurt. You waited when you had every reason to quit. And that kind of waiting is a declaration to the spirit realm. I trust Him more than I trust results. Now watch. Watch how God brings beauty from the years that felt like dust. Watch how He turns ridicule into reverence. Watch how He restores what was mocked and multiplies it. You're not just about to be elevated, you're about to be vindicated. And it won't require an announcement. It won't require defense. It will be obvious. Because God knows how to prepare a table in front of those who once called your dreams unrealistic. And you won't sit at that table bitter. You'll sit at it in peace. They'll realize you weren't slow, you were strategic. You weren't weak, you were wise. You weren't passive, you were planted. And when they ask you how it all came to pass, your only answer will be, I waited when it didn't make sense. And God did what only He could do. Oh, so don't let the laughter of people drown out the promises of God. Don't let mockery push you into movement God didn't authorize. Keep walking like you've been walking. Keep waiting like you've been waiting. You are closer now than you've ever been. The wait has been long, but the weight of glory it's about to release is far greater. And when it hits, you won't even need to speak. Your story will say everything. Now, if your spirit knows this word was for you, If you've been the one waiting while others ran, if you've felt the sting of being misunderstood but stayed anyway, let the heavens record your agreement. Comment, "I choose patience." Say it not because you enjoy waiting, but because you understand the weight of what you're carrying. Patience is not weakness. It is prophetic trust. It says to heaven, "I am willing to wait for what is mine, no matter how long it takes." It says to hell, "You will not rush me into counterfeit." And it says to yourself, "I know who I am," even in silence. 1. Write it not for me, but for yourself, for the story that's still unfolding, for the glory that's about to be revealed. Because patience is not passive, it's the hidden proof of faith. God made you wait so you could witness, chosen one. The delay was never designed to discourage you. It was meant to develop you, so that when the moment comes, you'll be able to carry not just the blessing, but the burden of glory that comes with it. There are things you prayed for that didn't come when you asked. Not because God ignored you, but because He was preparing something you couldn't yet handle. And now, you're not just about to receive, you're about to witness. You will witness what it looks like when heaven moves. You will watch prophecy break through the soil of patience. You will see what it means to stand in the middle of manifestation. God didn't make you wait to waste your time. He made you wait so that you would see with your own eyes what only heaven could orchestrate. In the ancient scrolls, we read the words recorded by Moses during Israel's moment of greatest fear. It is found in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 13. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which He will show you today. And you, chosen one, have stood still, not passively, but prophetically. You didn't walk away. You didn't bow to pressure. You didn't chase lesser paths. You stayed when it hurt. You prayed when it was quiet. You worshipped without reward. That is why the glory that is coming won't just rest on your life. It will pour through you. This is not a reward. It's a revelation. The Lord is about to show you why it had to take this long, why the door didn't open last year, why the opportunity wasn't released until now, why the people left, why the silence lingered. Because what's about to unfold will vindicate your obedience and confirm your positioning. This is not just answered prayer, it's fulfilled prophecy. And it will come with weight. You won't have to force anything. You won't have to explain it to anyone. You won't have to defend it. It will speak for itself. Because this is not man-made favor. It is heaven-ordained timing. The same people who thought you missed your moment will stand in awe of what God does in you. But you won't stand in pride. You'll stand in praise. Because this journey didn't break you. It built you. This waiting didn't empty you. It enlarged you. And now you are ready to witness the move of God. But listen closely. If this message has been speaking to the depths of your spirit, don't just move on as if it were casual. You didn't find this word. This word found you. Take a moment to respond. Like this message, if it confirmed what you've been hearing in the secret place, share it with someone who is still in their season of silence. Subscribe to remain connected, because this is not a moment. It is a movement. And if the oil in this space has been feeding your soul, you are welcome to sow into it. We don't ask for obligation. We extend an invitation. You're not giving to a voice. You're helping sustain a prophetic altar, one built for the hidden ones, the obedient ones, the ones still waiting on the Lord with clean hands and a burning heart. Whether it's a seed of prayer, encouragement, or provision. It keeps the flow moving. This isn't about building platforms. It's about building faith. Because there are more chosen ones out there who are just one word away from not giving up. And today, this may be that word for you. You're not just about to live in breakthrough. You're about to witness the glory of God move on your behalf. You will not have to chase. You will not have to compromise. You will simply stand still and see. And when the moment comes, you'll recognize it not by fanfare or flashing signs, but by the unmistakable presence of peace. That is how you'll know. This is it. This is the moment you were kept for. This is the door heaven never let you miss. Lift your hands, not in surprise, but in surrender. Because heaven didn't forget. It was just waiting for the moment when your faith would become sight. And now, that moment draws near. You won't have to announce it. Heaven will confirm it. The shift will be unmistakable. The peace will be overwhelming. The timing will be undeniable. You'll walk through the door not with striving, but with stillness, because those who wait on the Lord never walk in alone. They walk in covered in glory. Heaven has not forgotten you, chosen one. Let this settle deep into your spirit. Heaven has not forgotten you. It never did, though it's felt silent, though the days have stretched long and heavy, though others seem to run ahead. While you sit in the shadows, you are not overlooked. Every time you whispered a prayer into the dark and heard nothing back, it was still recorded. Every time you said yes when it hurt. Every time you walked away from what was easy but unholy. Every time you stayed quiet when you could have fought. Heaven took note. Your tears are not just remembered. They're preserved. They're not on the floor. They're in a bottle, held close to the throne. This season has felt like waiting in a hallway without doors. Hasn't it? No sound, no direction, no sign that anything is shifting. But there's something powerful about what happens in those invisible places, when the world can't see it, when even you can't see it. That's when heaven does its deepest work. God has not ignored your prayers. He has simply been weaving a tapestry that you've only seen from the underside. All you've caught are the knots and tangles, but soon He'll turn the canvas around. You'll see the design. You'll see the threads of every sacrifice, every night of surrender, every moment you chose trust instead of control. And it will be beautiful, because what God is building in you is not temporary. It's not quick. It's not shallow. It's not flashy. It's eternal. And eternity takes time. You weren't created for the pace of trends. You were created for the rhythm of the kingdom. And in the kingdom, preparation always precedes manifestation. That's why this has taken so long. He wasn't just preparing the door. He was preparing you. He was stripping the need for applause out of your soul. He was breaking you free from attachments that would have corrupted the promise. He was silencing the inner noise so that when the moment came, you could hear him, not just the opportunity, and chosen one. That moment is closer than it feels. God doesn't forget what he starts. He doesn't drop his promises halfway. He is not like man, who changes his mind based on circumstance. When God speaks, he fulfills, as declared in the book of Numbers, chapter 23, verse 19. God is not a man, that he should lie, nor a son of man, that he should change his mind. Has he said, and will he not do it? Let that echo inside you. He doesn't forget. He doesn't abandon. He doesn't lie. So when the thoughts come, maybe I missed it. Maybe it was all in my head. Maybe I'm too late. Know that those are not your thoughts. Those are lies sown by the adversary, who is terrified of what happens when you remember who you are. The enemy doesn't have to destroy you to stop you. He just has to convince you you've been forgotten. But now you know better. You've seen too much. You've overcome too much. You've stayed too long to let doubt rewrite your story now. You are not forgotten. You are marked. The delay isn't denial. The silence isn't absence. The stillness isn't stagnation. It's protection. It's preservation. It's heaven saying, I'm not done preparing the weight you're about to carry. Because what's coming to your life is not light. It carries influence. It carries responsibility. It carries generational consequence. So God had to take his time. He had to do it right. He had to shape you into someone who could hold it without it crushing you. And that's exactly what he's done. You may not see the fruit yet, but your roots are deep. And deep roots hold weighty fruit. That's why he let you grow downward first. People may look at your life and see stillness, but heaven sees infrastructure. Heaven sees foundation. And soon, that foundation will carry the manifestation. You will step into the day where the hidden is revealed, where the slow work of years bursts forth in moments, where the silent obedience becomes visible evidence. And when it happens, you will not be shocked. You will not be shaken. You will recognize it because God has already whispered it to your spirit. You've seen it in dreams. You've felt it in prayer. You've tasted it in the worship that brought tears without reason. It's not just coming. It's already moving. It's already been written. And your name is on it. You were not forgotten. You were being formed. Now, you are almost ready to be revealed. The enemy fought the date, chosen one. There is a reason the warfare has intensified around your life. A reason the pressure has grown heavier just when you thought breakthrough was near. It's not because you're weak. It's because the enemy saw what was written before you did. There is a date in heaven's calendar that hell fears. A moment set in time, not man's time. God's time, when everything shifts, when silence breaks, when favor finds you, when what's been spiritually sealed for years is finally released in the natural, and the enemy has tried everything to keep you from reaching it. That's why the opposition got louder when you got quieter. That's why the temptation grew stronger when your spirit started to fast and pray. That's why delays came. Doors shut. And people left, not because you lost alignment, but because you were walking straight into it. Satan couldn't cancel the date, so he fought to cancel you. If he couldn't remove the assignment, he tried to wear you out before you arrived. He sent distractions to divide your focus. He released discouragement to numb your belief. He stirred confusion to break your clarity, because he knows once you step into that marked moment, everything changes. But here you are, still standing, still trusting, still breathing. Even after everything that tried to bury you, that alone is evidence. You're closer than you think. Do not mistake the weight of this season as punishment. It's a signpost. It's confirmation. The resistance is real because the release is real. And darkness always fights hardest right before light breaks through. The Apostle Paul declared it boldly in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 8. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. You are not being defeated, you're being delivered. God has protected your timeline. Even when you were unaware of the battles happening behind the veil, angels have been dispatched. Delays have been converted. What the enemy meant for sabotage, God has rerouted for glory. That's why you had to lose some people. That's why the familiar became foreign. Why the systems that used to work began to fall apart. Because you outgrew what couldn't cross over with you. And the enemy used those changes to whisper, "You're falling behind." But the truth is, you're right on track. The pain, the pressure, the silence, they were all contractions. And contractions don't mean death. They mean something is about to be born. Chosen one, do not abort your promise in the final hour. Do not let warfare steal what waiting has preserved. You didn't come this far to give up just before the page turns. You're not in a random storm. You're in the final push before delivery. And what's coming is not a small shift. It's not a minor adjustment. It's a kingdom release. When it lands, it won't just affect you. It will ripple into every assignment connected to your name. Every person you're called to impact. Every environment you were created to shift. The enemy knows this. And he knows one thing. If you stay obedient now, it's over for him. So let your endurance be louder than your doubt. Let your persistence testify that no demon in hell can stop a child of God who refuses to quit. You're almost there. The weight of warfare means the weight of glory is close. If this word is confirmation, if something in you is rising, if your hands are shaking, if your eyes are stinging with tears that you can't explain, don't ignore it. Heaven is testifying. The battle has been intense, but the date is still intact. The assignment has not expired. The release is still scheduled. Let the spirit realm take note that you are not giving up. Comment. 555. 5 is the number of grace. 555 is heaven's way of saying grace upon grace upon grace. It means divine, covering over your transition. Divine power in your pressure, and divine protection over your promise. This number is not just symbolic, it's prophetic. Write it as a prophetic act. Not just a number, but a sound. Let it be your response to every invisible battle you've been winning in silence. Because the day is still coming. The promise is still alive. And no matter what the enemy threw, you made it through. And when it happens, not if, but when it will be unmistakable, you'll feel the shift in your breath, in your bones, in your spirit. You'll know, this is what I was born for. This is the day hell tried to block, and this is the moment God never let slip from his hand. End of 2. Sacred timing requires sacred posture. Chosen one. You are walking toward a moment that is not casual, it is consecrated. A day heaven has carved out with precision. A day that will not arrive early, will not be late, and will not bend to human agendas. But that kind of divine timing demands a certain posture. You cannot walk into what is sacred with what is sloppy. You've been trained in the fire for this very reason. Because sacred timing does not respond to convenience, emotion, or hype. It answers to preparation. God is not just waiting for the right time. He is looking for the right posture, the right alignment, the right obedience, the right heart. And posture doesn't just mean praise hands and hallelujahs. Posture means inner stillness. It means not rushing ahead of God, even when the promise feels close. It means listening longer than you speak, waiting without complaint, guarding your oil, keeping your altar lit, worshipping when there's no crowd, no answer, and no outcome yet. Because posture is what proves maturity. You can't be postured for the promise if you're still reactive to every delay, easily swayed by every voice, or dependent on visible evidence to stay faithful. Sacred posture means you stay ready, even when you feel nothing. It means your spirit is alert, while your eyes still see silence. Posture is what separates the positioned from the distracted. There are people who carry gifting but lack posture, and so they miss it. They're too loud when heaven is silent, too impatient when God is still stretching, too casual with the anointing. They enter spaces their character isn't ready for and call it favor, when really it's premature exposure. But not you. You've been taught to walk slowly, not because you're afraid, but because you reverence what you carry. You've come to understand that divine timing without spiritual posture is dangerous. It becomes flesh-driven movement, not spirit-led breakthrough. That's why the Lord has been shaping you in the secret place, not just to bless you, but to trust you with the weight of what's coming. And heaven does not release destiny into unsubmitted hearts. Scripture speaks clearly in the letter of James, chapter 4, verse 10. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. Oh, you cannot fake posture. You cannot mimic humility. You cannot simulate surrender. You either carry it or you don't. And chosen one, you do. That's why God has allowed the stripping, the pruning, the silence, the waiting, because posture is formed through pressure, not public pressure, but private crushing. The oil you now carry didn't come cheap. It came from the weight of hidden obedience, and it shows. You no longer chase open doors. You wait until the door opens on its own. You no longer panic when plans shift. You now understand, if God interrupts it, it wasn't him. You don't need the world's validation, because you have heaven's permission. That's what posture has taught you. It taught you to discern delay from denial, to see redirection as mercy, not punishment, to stop wrestling with closed doors and start worshiping at locked gates, knowing that what God seals, he seals for your protection, not your punishment. You've been learning to bow before you build, to listen before you leap, to obey even when no one is clapping, to steward silence like it's prophecy, and that has changed your whole spiritual profile. The old you would have rushed the process. The old you would have settled for premature applause. The old you would have mistaken busyness for fruitfulness. But now you're moving differently. Now your posture speaks louder than your presence. When you enter a room, your silence carries weight, because people can't always name it, but they can feel it. You've been with God. That's posture. And when sacred timing meets sacred posture, something explosive happens. Heaven doesn't just open, it invades. The doors don't just unlock, they fall off their hinges. The favor doesn't just increase, it overflows. Because God does not pour new wine into old wineskins. He pours new wine into yielded vessels, those who have made room by posture. So, if it feels like God's been quiet lately, it's not because he's distant. It's because he's observing, watching how you hold what he already gave, watching if your hands are still open, watching if you've built an altar for the glory he's about to pour. He's not just checking your schedule, he's measuring your stance. And when the time comes, and it will, he will lift you in a way that cannot be explained, cannot be replicated, and cannot be stopped. But until then, remain postured, in stillness, in hunger, in yieldedness, in silence, in reverence, Sacred days don't respond to hype. They descend on hearts that are ready, still, and surrendered. Stay in position. You're almost there. You'll know when it's time. Chosen one. God is not the author of confusion. When your appointed moment arrives, it will not come wrapped in chaos or contradiction. It will come with clarity, not necessarily clarity about every detail, but clarity in your spirit. You will know, deep in your bones, that this is it. You won't have to second guess. You won't have to ask 10 people for confirmation. You won't need to force a sign, because when heaven opens a door, the wind that follows will witness to your spirit, and it will resonate with the rhythm of everything God has been shaping in you all along. You'll know, and not because the moment is loud, but because you'll be quiet enough inside to recognize it. Heaven speaks clearest to the postured, to those whose ears are tuned beyond noise and emotion. If your soul has been agitated, if your heart has been stretched in the silence, it's not a setback. It's a sharpening, because God is preparing you to recognize His signal when it comes. Too many miss their moment because they expect fireworks. But God rarely moves in explosions. He moves in certainty. Think of Elijah, standing at the mouth of the cave. The wind came, the earthquake shook, the fire passed, but God was not in any of them. Then came the still, small voice, and Elijah knew. You'll know not because your mind will make sense of it. You'll know because your spirit will say yes before your thoughts catch up. This is why God has taken you through the silence, through the hiddenness, through the pressing, because He's been tuning your spiritual ears to recognize what is from Him and what is merely noise. The Lord declares through His prophet in the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 21, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you, saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Chosen one. There's a moment coming when all of heaven will align with your next step, and you will not wonder whether it's the right time. You will feel the weight of peace settle over your spirit like a blanket. You won't need to be talked into it. You won't need signs in the sky. You will know because everything inside you will suddenly agree. The anxiety will lift. The fog will clear. The urgency will shift from striving to steadiness. That's how you'll know this is not a push. This is a release. That's how heaven works. God does not beg you forward. He prepares you so thoroughly that when the moment comes, you step, not stress. You don't jump. You flow. And that flow is unmistakable. Your timing is tied to your sensitivity. And sensitivity is built in seasons of silence. That's why the past season had to be so quiet, so deep, so uncertain on the surface, because God was not just changing your surroundings, He was training your spiritual senses. You now know what peace feels like. You now know what striving sounds like. You now recognize the counterfeit by the way it disrupts your rest. So when the door opens, and it will, you won't need to knock twice. You won't beg for what was already promised. You'll simply walk light-footed, but spirit-led. And others may not understand. They'll question how you just knew. They'll ask, what gave you the courage to move, to act, to shift? You won't have a spreadsheet. You won't have every answer. But you'll have one thing they can't deny, the peace of God that passes all understanding. That peace is not passive. It's prophetic. It marks the moments God has authored. It signals heaven's green light. And once you've felt it, you'll never again settle for chaos dressed as opportunity. This is why you've been stretched. This is why the waiting has been so deep. So when the moment arrives, you don't hesitate. Not because you're fearless, but because you're faithful. God has already gone ahead of you. He's already prepared the place, aligned the provision, cleared the atmosphere. When He says go, the path will open. The people you're supposed to meet will be there. The timing will be perfect. The release will feel natural, inevitable. Even so, rest. Don't strive for it. Stay sensitive. Because when the time comes, you won't miss it. It's not coming with confusion. It's coming with confirmation. You'll know. Not in your head, but in your spirit. Not through pressure, but through peace. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. And when it happens, you won't even need to explain it. You'll simply walk forward, and heaven will echo your steps. Crowns come after crushing seasons. Chosen one. If you have felt crushed, lately under pressure, under silence, under battles, you didn't choose eights, because you are being crowned. Crowns do not fall from the sky. They are forged in the fire. They are revealed after seasons of surrender that cost more than you ever imagined. The glory that is coming upon your life is not cheap. It was paid for in dark nights, private battles, and silent obedience. You didn't get here through shortcuts. You got here through crushing. And that crushing was not for destruction, it was for distillation. God has been extracting the purest oil from your life. You thought you were being broken down, but in truth, you were being pressed to release power. Every betrayal pressed you. Every delay pressed you. Every no pressed you. But each time, heaven was collecting oil, sacred oil, costly oil, oil that can't be bought, copied, or faked. And now, after all the pressing comes the crowning. You've carried weight that no one saw. You've poured yourself out without applause. You've honored God in secret when public recognition never came. But none of it went unnoticed. Not in heaven. It was all part of the crowning process. As the Apostle Paul wrote in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7 and 8, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness. That crown is not just for those who perform, it's for those who persevere. And you, chosen one, have persevered. There were nights you questioned your worth. Mornings you didn't want to rise. Seasons where obedience felt like suffocation. And yet, you stayed faithful. That's why this crown isn't decorative, it's prophetic. It doesn't just sit on your head. It signifies a shift in heaven's recognition of your life. God doesn't crown you because of public status. He crowns you based on spiritual authority earned in places no one else was willing to go. You've been through Gethsemane. You've tasted isolation, endured ridicule, outlasted storms that took others out. And now the crown comes not to validate your pain, but to authorize your new assignment. This next season isn't just about receiving blessing. It's about walking in dominion. You've passed the test. Now heaven is trusting you with territory. But this crown comes with responsibility. It's not to show off, it's to serve with. It's not to elevate your name, it's to carry the weight of His. It's not for display, it's for deployment. And that's why you've been pressed so long. God could not release this level of anointing on someone who hadn't been emptied of pride. He couldn't entrust glory to a vessel that still needed validation from people. But now, after the crushing, you no longer live for applause. You live for assignment. You were crowned in heaven before man ever saw you. And when the manifestation reaches the surface, people may be shocked, but you won't be. You'll recognize it as the confirmation of everything God whispered to you in the silence. This is the moment the crushing was preparing you for. So, if this word is confirmation, if you've felt the pressure increase, if you've cried without words lately, if you've sensed something sacred, shifting, don't stay silent. Like this word, if it spoke directly to your wilderness, share it if someone you love is on the edge of giving up. Subscribe so you never miss another moment Heaven intends to use to realign your spirit. And if this message, this oil, this space has poured into your life, don't just scroll, buy so, back into it. This isn't just content. This is kingdom conversation. And when you sow into oil, you don't just support a message, you sustain a movement. Whether it's a seed of prayer, encouragement, or financial giving, every gesture helps keep the altar burning for chosen ones across the world. Because there are others, just like you, fighting unseen battles, carrying invisible callings, waiting for someone to say, "You're not alone. You're still on time. And yes, your crown is coming." Oh, let that someone be us. Your presence here is not passive. It's prophetic. Every click, every share, every comment becomes part of a larger echo. Heaven is sending across the earth. The crushed are rising. The faithful are being crowned. Don't despise the pressing. Don't curse the isolation. Don't misinterpret the silence. All of it was working for this. And now, it's your time to step into what's already been spoken over you. The weight was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to prepare you for the authority that crown carries. So, lift your head. Chosen one. The oil was not wasted. The crushing was not in vain. And the crown is real. You were built for the marked day. Chosen one. This moment you're walking toward the breakthrough, the shift. The divine unveiling was never random. It was not a bonus, not an accident, not something you stumbled into by survival. It is something you were built for. Every season of pain, every hour of silence, every day of delay was not just endured, it was engineered. You weren't just surviving. You were being constructed in the spirit. You are not fragile. You are not accidental. You were shaped in secret to carry something sacred. The day that's coming carries a weight, and you would not be standing in this hour if heaven hadn't already determined that you were capable of holding it. What you've gone through was never about punishment. It was preparation for divine capacity. You were being made heavy enough in the spirit to walk into rooms that shift when you enter. You were being wired for discernment, for clarity, for presence. Not everyone can walk with what you carry. That's why the road was narrow. That's why the isolation was painful. You weren't just being set apart, you were being hardened in holiness. Because when that day comes, the one heaven marked you will not just arrive at it empty-handed. You will arrive carrying all the substance the wilderness built into you. This is why the fight was fierce. This is why the warfare was relentless. Because the enemy didn't fear your comfort, he feared your completion. He feared what would happen when you came into alignment with the time God set aside just for you. He feared what your voice would release when it was no longer suppressed by insecurity. He feared what your presence would stir when you finally stood, not in reaction to pain, but in response to purpose. And you stayed through it all. You cried, but kept showing up. You doubted, but kept praying. You lost people but stayed soft. You had every reason to quit. And yet you didn't. You remained. That's not weakness. That's evidence of divine design. Only those who are built for the weight are allowed to carry it. God would not let you collapse under something meant to crown you. That's why the delay wasn't denial. It was engineering. He was reinforcing your spirit. He was strengthening your no, so your yes would mean something. He was sharpening your vision so you could see what others miss. He was clearing your atmosphere, cutting attachments, trimming distractions, all so that when the moment arrives, you won't be swayed, seduced, or stopped. The prophet Jeremiah heard it firsthand from the Lord. As recorded in chapter 1, verse 5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I set you apart, chosen one." God didn't decide to use you halfway through your journey. He wrote your name into sacred time before your first breath. And everything since then, every twist, every test, every hidden triumph has been moving you toward one divine intersection, the day where everything shifts. You didn't ask to be set apart, but you are. You didn't choose the weight, but you've carried it. You didn't plan this path, but you've walked it with trembling hands and steady faith. And heaven has watched. Heaven has recorded. And heaven is ready. You are not being called into something beyond your strength. You are being summoned into what you were born for. The time is near. You've outgrown cycles. You've matured beyond excuses. You've learned how to breathe in silence, how to war in worship, how to keep walking when there's no map, because your compass is now conviction. You no longer need a full plan. You just need a word, and God already gave it. So don't back down now. When the moment comes, and it will, you will not flinch. You will recognize it. You will feel the atmosphere shift. You will know that everything that crushed you was building you for this very weight. Because what's coming will not be handed to you lightly. It must be carried with maturity, with endurance, with the kind of depth that can only be shaped by delay. That's why the wilderness was never wasted. It built the person who could stand in the place God had prepared. Not everyone is sent. Not everyone is trusted. Not everyone is released. But you are, because you were built for the marked day, designed for it, wired for it, strengthened through pressure, refined through waiting, and anointed through crushing. You don't need to prove anything. Just carry what God gave you. And when the moment opens, step into it like someone who knew all along this day was written with your name on it. And now, you are ready. The day will speak for itself. Chosen one. You will not have to convince anyone. You will not need to argue, prove, perform, or strive. When the day arrives, the day God marked for your life, it will speak for itself. You won't need to explain the pain you endured, the obedience no one saw, the choices you made behind closed doors, the battles you kept quiet. You won't have to justify the wilderness, the waiting, or the walk of faith that made no sense to those around you. The day will do the talking, because heaven does not bless silently what was built loudly in obedience. And when it unfolds, it will not come as a whisper, it will come as a public fulfillment of a private covenant. The same people who questioned your pace will witness your placement. The same voices that called you delusional will go silent as they watch what can only be explained by one word: God. There will be no debate about whether it was his doing, the timing, the opening, the scale, the weight. It will all bear his fingerprint. And while some will try to reduce it to chance, the discerning will see it clearly. This was the result of divine preservation. They didn't see the nights you sowed in tears. They didn't hear the yes you whispered when your heart was breaking. They didn't carry the tension of walking by faith through fog. But God saw it all. And now, the day that was promised, the day sealed with your name, is about to come into alignment with the time on earth. And when it does, it won't just shift your surroundings. It will confirm your calling. This isn't just breakthrough. This is identification. God is not just answering prayers. He is revealing who you really are. The hidden one, the faithful one, the set-apart one, the refined one, the one who chose him over comfort, intimacy over influence, and obedience over optics. That's why when it happens, you won't lift your voice in pride. You'll bow your head in awe. Not because you didn't expect it, but because the weight of his goodness will humble you. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 126, verse 5 and 6. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. He who goes out weeping, bearing seed for sowing, shall come home with shouts of joy, bringing his sheaves with him. You've sowed faithfully. Now joy is coming to collect you. This moment won't feel like ambition fulfilled. It will feel like prophecy remembered. A deep stirring inside you will say, "This is what he showed me in secret." It might not look exactly as you imagined, but your spirit will know it instantly. Because it won't be familiar to your logic. It will be familiar to your soul. That's what makes this so holy. You weren't chasing an outcome, you were following a whisper. You weren't pursuing recognition, you were responding to a mandate. You weren't trying to build a platform, you were trying to guard a promise. And now the promise is standing at the door. It will knock gently. It will not shout. But the moment you open, it will rush in with unmistakable clarity, and everything you carried in the dark will suddenly make sense in the light. You'll realize why God didn't let you settle, why certain places rejected you, why some relationships dried up, why the detours became divine. You'll realize none of it was wasted. Not one delay. Not one season of silence. It was all pushing you to the exact second God had reserved for you since before time began. And when you step into it, it won't require announcement, because the fruit will announce you, your posture will declare you, your peace will confirm you, your presence will carry evidence that can't be explained away. So, if you've been wondering when it will happen, how it will happen, or what it will look like, breathe deep. The weight of the moment is already in motion, and when it arrives, it will not apologize for how long it took. It will simply cover you with the glory of everything God protected while He prepared you. You won't need to shout. You won't need to fight. You will simply walk forward, and the day will speak. Let it. Chosen one. If this message stirred something deep in your spirit, it's because it was meant for you. This wasn't just a script. It was a mirror, a witness, a confirmation of what God has already been whispering to your soul. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You have been marked for such a time as this. Everything you walked through led you here, and everything God has spoken is still active. Your tears were counted, your silence was sacred, and your obedience has been recorded in the archives of heaven. This is not the end of your journey. This is a new beginning, the unfolding of sacred days that have been prepared just for you. If any part of this message confirmed what you've carried alone, don't stay silent. Like this video, as a testimony, I receive this word. Now, comment below and let others know you're standing with them. Let the atmosphere hear your response. Subscribe so you remain connected to this prophetic stream, because what's coming next is only getting stronger. And if this space has ministered to you, if this message met you in the middle of your midnight, you can partner with us not out of pressure, but out of purpose. Your seed sustains this altar. Your support fuels the release of messages like this across the world. Whether it's a prayer, a share, or a gift of any size, you are part of the oil. Thank you for being here. Thank you for standing. Thank you for believing, even when it cost you everything. This is your time. The marked day is near, and you, chosen one, are ready for it.